yourself from every conceivable angle in every small moment, then doesn't that invalidate?
Yeah, but you can't take care of yourself. At the very least, for example, your head might quantum tunnel away to Andromeda galaxy. There is a finite probability of that happening, and I can't see any conceivable way of preventing that kind of problem. Most of it's really unlikely. Ridiculous small ones are really hard to get rid of. And then you have, of course, the obvious meteor strikes, etc., etc. But even then you have the systematic ones. You're breathing and metabolizing, you're getting free radicals in all your mitochondria from your metabolism. And unless we can fix that, your current mortality, well, it's not going to matter how low that is, because you're going to get an eventual level of mortality due to aging, which is troublesome. So what we need to do is, of course, find ways of getting around this. So in the long run, I think taking backup copies and dispersing them widely, that's the only way of really getting along in life. But I'm not even trusting that to actually work perfectly. You can probably just get an infinite variance in your life expectancy, which is probably going to be good enough.
Any other questions? Yes?
Do you think that there is a risk of worrying too much about risk? And in the sense that if so many people are thinking about risk more, then there will be fewer people sort of being looking to help with technological progress.
I definitely think so. My favorite example is, of course, pharmaceutical testing, where we have set up so good ethical rules that it's extremely expensive and it's never going to be possible for any small group to do. So there was this tragedy a while ago when some family were testing their life extension drug. We discussed that in the Extra Britannia list. And one of the things that struck me was, well, that was breach of science ethics and medical ethics. But the researcher should at least be allowed to test it on herself. Right now, most ethics organizations are very down on that, but I think that should be allowed. And I think we actually need to allow a bit riskier forms of tests, especially to actually get antibiotics out, because otherwise we're all going to, statistically, a lot of us are going to be dead due to resistant bacteria.
I'm struck by the difference between the development of pharmaceuticals and the development of surgical techniques. Which, in a surgical technique, a doctor thinks, this might be worth trying, and so he tries it. And if it works, it can become standard procedure throughout the world very, very fast, whereas pharmaceuticals seem to take decades. Is that intellectual property law? Is that the testing systems? I don't know.
I think it's a mixture. I think the testing system is what's currently making it really cumbersome. And also the demands that drugs are to be ridiculously safe. Which is very problematic, because it's pretty unlikely that anything that has any sizable effect on the body can be made safe. It always has to be tailored and used cautiously. Which, of course, the surgeon will claim he's doing, but statistically that's also pretty dangerous. I didn't have that much statistics on, but actually hospitals should be up there on the list of major risks. They're actually, a hospital visit is actually worth 890 millimorts.
And it's an odd thing because it completely different. Gravitons, basically in gravity, the only way of generating those is with a large enough mass. I know this sounds a bit wacky, I don't know. Do you actually believe in probability as a physical concept? Because you can only really make, after something's happened, the probability is 1. You know, you make probability about the future. You say, what's the probability that something happens in the future? So you had the question before about the Cuban Missile Crisis. Well, we know what happened. It's 1 or 0.
Except that certain forms of quantum mechanics would actually say consistent past history. You might actually have past probabilities also.
Well, even then, you talk about quantum mechanics because probability is fundamentally at the base of quantum mechanics, but there's a fork and there's an amount to the fork as well. Do you believe in the idea of probability as an extra dimension?
There might be something like probability built into physics. I'm not certain whether that would actually correspond to the kind of probability we have been thinking mostly about today. It might be actually quite different.
So I think that's a question for the pub.
I definitely is.
Well, thanks very much, Anders. So we'll keep thinking about risks, and we'll try and think about risks in a sensible way that adds to public enlightenment rather than stampeding the public into foolish decisions. So, thank you.